Our third speaker is Kathryn Williamson. She studied her LPC with the University of Law on the Guildford campus and then spent some time as a paralegal before she commenced her training contract. She's now a second-year trainee at Shoosmiths. She's in her fourth seat, and it's in commercial litigation in the London team. She's now going to be sharing with you her experiences and offering advice for building resilience at the start and indeed throughout your legal career. Please welcome Kathryn.
Hi everyone, my name is Kathryn Williamson and I am a second year trainee solicitor at Shoosmiths. Today I'm going to be talking about demonstrating resilience throughout your legal career, why this is important and how you can go about building this in order to see opportunity in application rejections and other setbacks you may face throughout your legal career. I think resilience is something that's often thought of negatively, in that law students are told that they just need to have it, which often leads to thinking that it's a quality that you either possess or you don't. I don't think that this is the case, and I think the path to qualification is a perfect time to learn and develop the skill. I'm going to speak about how you can do this both throughout the application cycle and also throughout your training contract. So to give a bit of background about me, I studied an undergraduate law degree at the University of Surrey. I completed a 4-year degree, which had a year in industry, it was during my third year, and I spent this as a paralegal at Shoosmiths. It was during this time that I really fell in love with the firm, the people, and the culture, and I decided that it was somewhere that I would really like to train. I therefore applied for a training contract at the end of my placement year, got through to assessment centre, but was unfortunately unsuccessful. So I returned to university to complete my final year and reapplied to Shoosmiths. This time I was successful at obtaining my training contract after the assessment centre. I then went on to study my LPC at the University of Law in Guildford the year after I graduated, and I was then a paralegal at a city firm for a year before starting my training contract in 2019. I'm now in the final 6 months of my training contract and have completed seats in commercial litigation, commercial with a part-time client secondment, and corporate. And I'm now back in commercial litigation for my final seat. I think these examples from my journey bring me on nicely to speak about my first point, which is how you can deal with rejection during applications and use this to develop resilience. Rejection is an inevitable part of applying for a career in law, and it's really rare for someone to succeed on their first application. I think the key thing to remember when receiving rejection emails is that these should be used as a springboard to develop further, rather than not learning from your past mistakes or letting them affect you so much that you just come to a standstill. I know that it can be absolutely gutting when you receive a rejection at any stage of the process. I was upset when I received one from Shoosmiths because I'd worked at the firm for a year and I was really set on getting a training contract there. I think it's always important to take time to reflect when you receive one. It can be easy to either just completely ignore it and brush it to the side and therefore not change anything for your next applications, or to dwell on it so much that it puts you off applying again. Building resilience is all about facing your mistakes and rejections and learning to overcome them quickly and effectively so that you can better deal with them the next time. This does take practice, but my key tip for doing this during the application process is to obtain feedback. I think that this is so important as it will help you to develop and learn from your mistakes and succeed at future applications. One of the most important things I did during my process was to obtain feedback from Shoosmiths after I was unsuccessful at the assessment centre. The firm is really good in that it provides detailed feedback to every assessment centre candidate over the phone. So I was able to note down areas that I needed to improve on, and I spent the next year working on these. And I know it's not always possible to get firm feedback, particularly at the initial application form stage, but most firms will offer it after assessment centre or interview. One of my feedback points was to improve my commercial awareness, so I need to spend the next year focusing on this, and I subscribed to lots of email alerts and articles to keep up to date. I also attended practice assessment centres put on by the University of Law and also by my undergraduate university to gain more experience of the assessment centre environment. If you do need feedback on written applications which a firm doesn't give, it's always good to keep in mind that you can usually go to your university careers service or just get others to read your applications. My next tip is to consider other options. The application stage is as much about you researching and finding the right firm for you as it is about the firm finding the right candidates. After I was unsuccessful at Shoosmiths, I knew I couldn't pin all of my hopes on this firm for the following year, so I continued to research and apply to firms with a similar culture and values. Receiving rejections can also be a really good time to consider whether you are applying for the right type of firm for you. Building resilience doesn't just stop when you've made it through the application stage, and life as a trainee solicitor is the perfect time to focus on this. Your training contract is a period of learning and is a time to make mistakes. It's really important to receive regular feedback from your supervisor so that you can develop and learn from what you have done. And when you make mistakes, you should always own up to these straight away. Everyone makes them throughout every stage of their career, and honesty is a vital part of being a lawyer. It's how you respond to these mistakes in working to solve them and not making the same ones again, which is really important and will help to make you more resilient. The COVID-19 pandemic has also been a great time for both students and trainees to develop resilience. It has forced us to adapt to a totally new and uncomfortable situation and learn how best to still get the job done while overcoming the challenges of working remotely. So to sum up, resilience is not something that just comes straight away. It's built up over time with how you react to situations and learn from them. This will help you become a stronger individual who is better equipped for your legal career. In the legal industry, facing setbacks and problems is an inevitable part of helping clients with their issues. Whether it's during a transaction or a court case, it certainly isn't always going to be smooth sailing. So the steps you take early on in your career will help for tackling these challenges later on. My top tips are rejection equals reflection, take a step back, consider what you've done, deal with the problem head on, and don't just brush it to the side or allow it to stop you from applying again. Number 2, obtain feedback on how you could have done better and work on this next time. Ask for feedback whenever you can, both in applications and also in the work environment. Number 3, think about other options. There are loads of firms out there, and receiving rejection is a good time to consider other firms either with a similar culture or a different type of firm entirely. Everyone makes mistakes. Dealing with these in the appropriate way and learning from them will ultimately make you a stronger individual and a better lawyer. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope I've been able to provide some useful advice for beginning your career in law and how rejection should be seen as an opportunity rather than a threat.
Well, thank you so much to Kathryn Williamson. Quite emotional in some respects, hearing the reflections on the things that didn't go right and how those were ultimately built upon to be able to take her to where she is now and progress forward in the career when at various points it seemed like that wasn't going to happen. I'm sure many of you will be able to relate to those setbacks, the disappointments, getting so close, and therefore to hear that that perseverance is rewarded in the end, hopefully will give you confidence to keep pushing on. And some fantastic tips there. Rejection is reflection. There's a maturity about that sort of comment that says it's difficult at the time to accept it, but you look back and you realize actually it wasn't necessarily a good thing, but you're better as a result of having digested that.